I don't think people fully understand how big of a shift we're about to experience. Most people think AI is just about writing emails faster. That's how most people use it. Or generating a social media post, maybe making some shorts for their social media. But that's not the real shift happening. You see, the real shift is about businesses, and it's about how they're going to scale operations without scaling payroll. And the companies that understand this early on, and I preface early on, they're gonna operate at an entirely different level. Because AI isn't just about changing productivity, it's about changing how people and businesses compete. That's the interesting thing. So when you look at how companies actually adopt AI, there's a pattern, and one that's very easy for me to see as a business owner. See, businesses tend to move through 4 distinct stages of adoption. Most companies right now, they're stuck in stage number 1. This is how I see it. The ones that reach stage 4, they're gonna dominate their industries. I'm gonna be there, mark my words. But let me break this down and explain what I'm talking about, because I think a lot of people don't understand what's really happening in businesses as well. See, right now, the conversations around AI, they're happening mostly at what I would call surface level. People think that AI is mostly about tools. Things like writing content faster, generating marketing ideas, automating repetitive tasks like emails, texting, or replacing certain entry-level roles or maybe a VA's roles. And there's definitely some truth to that, but research is showing that generative AI can significantly change how knowledge work gets done. But that's not the real story still, because tools don't transform industries. They help, but they don't transform industries. Systems do. And once you understand the system behind AI adoption, you start to see something much bigger happening. This is what we're seeing. So let's walk through the 4 stages that I just mentioned. The first stage is efficiency. You can see this every day. This is where most businesses start, but a lot of them stop here. They use AI to do some work just a little bit faster. Writing emails, like I mentioned, summarizing research, analyzing data, helping with customer support if they get there. Even at the basic level, the productivity gains are massive with this stage. Then there's the research from MIT that found generative AI improved productivity for some knowledgeable workers by nearly 40%. I see that in my own operations. So naturally, businesses start here because that's a huge increase. They're looking for efficiency. I know you are, because that's what we're looking for. But efficiency is like the shallow end of the pool. Boring, because once a company realizes what AI can actually do, they want and need to move to the next stage. So stage number 2 is scalability. This is where things get really interesting. And this is the part that I get super fired up at. This is where AI allows businesses to scale output without scaling payroll. You hear that? Payroll is huge. Think about that for a second. A smaller team can now produce the same output that previously required a huge team. Research is estimating that generative AI could contribute trillions of dollars to annual global productivity gains. And nearly 80% of organizations now report using AI in at least one business function. This is going to rapidly accelerate. So at this stage, businesses begin to realize something really, really important. AI isn't just helping employees. It's reshaping the economics of how companies operate. Now, here's where it starts to get really interesting, and here's where the separation begins. Companies that understand this stage early on start widening the gap super fast. And companies that ignore it, well, they don't just fall behind slowly, they fall behind really fast. Because once competitors lower cost and increase output, speed increases. Think about it. That's how business operates. Price pressure increases, expectations increase, and if you're not adapting, well, you're just losing. You're losing ground significantly. But you're also losing it exponentially. So here's the other side of the coin. So flip it. And moving too quickly, that also creates problems. So I'm a visionary. This is what I suffer from. I like to go fast. And, well, it creates a little bit of problem. It's like getting over your skis if you're a skier. So there's effectively two ways businesses lose during technological shifts. We did a little bit of research on this. First, they move too slowly and they get behind. Second, they move too fast and get reckless. But also, if you ignore AI altogether, your competitors are going to just outpace you. Your cost structure is going to become inefficient compared to your competitors. Your margins are going to compress. But if you build your entire infrastructure, and this is a lot of work, around the tools that are evolving rapidly, you can end up building systems that become outdated way too fast. Everything is happening so fast that what you build today could be out of date in just a couple months. This is what I struggle with, because when I think about building the infrastructure, integrating AI, generative and agentic, I really start to realize that, holy cow, what we build today and we spend lots of money doing it, it might be outdated in 3 months or 6 months. So that's one thing that you really got to consider. You got to build it to solve a very specific problem, but not just your problem, a problem for the client. But if you do it right, even knowing that you're going to be outdated, if you build it right, you can just bolt on the proper structure when things change. So the goal isn't just adoption. The goal is adaptation. Businesses need to stay informed. You got to kind of keep reading. You got to keep looking at white papers, watching podcasts. You got to keep testing and building systems that evolve alongside the technology. Because when systems become rigid, I think you all understand that word, rigid, they create drag. And drag kills growth. Quite simple. Now, this idea of adaptation applies to something much bigger than just technology. It applies to money as well. And this is something that I understand very well. It applies to money, it applies to business, and it applies to banking. Because one of the biggest problems people face today is that they don't control their financial system. This is the majority of the people. You gave up control of your money. They rely entirely on traditional banks, which are in control of your money. Traditional lending, which takes control away from you. Traditional financing structures, and that all means they constantly give up control of one of the most important things, the exchange, the money, the tool. That's exactly why we teach something called Be Your Own Banker. It's a strategy designed to help individuals and business owners, especially business owners, take back control of their banking system, their financial system, if you will. So if taking back control sounds like something you want to do, if you want to eliminate debt faster and more efficiently without working harder, longer, or taking on any risk, if you want to build long-term legacy for your kids and your family, then stop relying on the traditional banking methods for your financing. Schedule a time to chat with our team. They can walk you through how this strategy works. They can actually show you the mathematics, and then you alone can see if it's a good fit for you. Now let's get back to the third stage of AI adoption, because this is where most companies struggle. And I'll be the first to say, I'm struggling with this stage right here. And this stage number 3, is where businesses start asking harder questions. Questions like, how should AI be used responsibly? What data is being used? And where's it being stored? What are the legal risks that exist? What is the technology risk? Because technology without structure creates chaos. I read an article that showed that many AI initiatives, they fail because the organizations lack proper governance and integration strategies. This is where companies realize something really important. They realize that AI isn't just another tool. It's an operating system. It's a complete operating system change. And businesses that build thoughtful systems around it, well, they position themselves for the final stage. This is where AI becomes a real competitive advantage. I mean, it already was, but this is where instead of asking, how can AI help us? Businesses begin asking, how can AI help our customers solve their problems? And that changes everything, because that's what the focus of a business is, solve somebody else's problem. Because when a business or when a company uses technology to solve customers' problems, if they can figure out how to do it faster, how to do it better, how to do it more intelligently, well, they begin pulling away from their competitors because the competitors can't operate at these speeds. This is the stage where businesses move from automation to strategic advantage. Now, let me explain to you why this matters. You see, whenever productivity increases this dramatically, the entire economic landscape begins to change. Businesses become more efficient. Competition is going to increase at rapid rates. Expectations are going to rise for the customers and the businesses. And this is supported by research from global economic organizations that suggest AI has potential to significantly reshape labor markets and productivity growth. But let me stop right there. There's one thing I think that's important to bring up, and this is where I want to talk about it. I, myself, do not believe that AI replaces humans. Now, I know some of you are going to disagree because, of course, it replaces people in specific jobs, but it doesn't replace human relationships, and it's not going to. You see, the job of, I should say, our job, okay, as humans, it's kind of weird to say that, but our job is relationships. That's what we need to focus on. And I'd love to unpack that, but I'll do it in another video where AI is used for all the things I mentioned earlier. But AI should never be used to replace human relationships, where we build relationships with our customers. We build relationships with our clients. That is not an AI responsibility, and it never should be replaced. So what does this mean for individuals? What does it mean for entrepreneurs and investors? It means they all need to pay attention closely. Oh, perfect segment. So since you're paying attention up to this point, let's do a quick pause. If you're getting value out of this video, I gotta ask you for something. I'd love for you to click that little button right there, that button that says subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, and then there's a little bell right up top. Practicing my Bruce Lee. Smash that notification bell. Because if you think like Bruce Lee punching a bag, that's gonna give you a solid hit, and it's gonna notify you every time I put out new content. Anyway, I'm working on that one, so it'll get better. Every single week, we break down financial strategies, economic trends, wealth building principles, and most people are never taught any of that. All right, enough of Bruce Lee. Let's get back to the main point. Sophisticated investors don't just chase technology trends. They focus on systems. I've learned this when I've studied M&A activity and exiting businesses. They focus on liquidity. They focus on control, because technological shifts, they create opportunity, but that opportunity can kind of be a little gray. We need to be black and white. But the people who benefit the most are the ones who already built strong financial systems, strong foundations. You see, technology changes. Markets are going to change. As you're seeing, every day the markets change. But the principles of control and the principles of liquidity, they remain constant. So as we close this video down, I want to preface that AI is not something to fear. A lot of people are scared of it. And I guess if you watch Terminator 2, I get it. It's not something to blindly worship either. It's simply something we have to understand. Because in periods like this, where we're in a rapid technological acceleration, standing still is literally like you walking backwards. You're moving the wrong direction. But also, reckless speed, that's going to create drag. It's going to create mistakes. So the real advantage belongs to the people that adopt this and adapt this intelligently. And those are the people who tend to win over the long run. And you know who those people are? You. Because all of you are here to learn something new and apply something new. You see, there's something really important. I'm going to finish with this. In order to succeed, you have to create. Because if all you do in life is conform to what other people tell you to do, conform to what other people have done in the past, and conform to failed realities, failed financial plans, failed financial realities, you're never going to get there. That's why it seems like there's such a wealth divide. The 5% and the 95%. There's one difference between the 5% and the 95%, folks. The 5% created. They continue to create. And the 95%, they unfortunately continue to conform. We have all conformed. That's just life. But we have to break free from it. We have to leave it behind, which means we need to stop listening to other people. We need to set them aside, push them aside, put them in timeout, tell them that's them, this is me. I'm going to create my future. I'm going to create my financial reality. I'm going to create my own banking system. And once you start creating, the rest all takes shape. Thanks for joining me. This has been another episode of What Now? What's Next? See you next time.